Hello, wrestling fans. Blake Smith from Walking the Ropes, and welcome to another episode of Walking the Ropes Wrestling Review for AEW Full Gear from Minneapolis, Minnesota. Before we get into that, check out the Walking the Ropes link tree for all things Walking the Ropes. And to open the show, we had the Full Gear buy-in, which had started out with the Acclaimed coming out to talk to Dante Martin, who was explaining I think he was going to answer Team Taz. But he never got to really talk at all. They asked him to join the Acclaimed, which is kind of interesting because I believe Top Flight and the Acclaimed actually were not necessarily feuding, but they had fights against each other. So that's very interesting. Dante says no, they brawl, and I can't describe it any other way. He floats to the top rope and probably could have stood there with no problem, and then hits a moonsault on the two men, and that's the end of that segment. We then move on to the buy-in match. It's a tag team match, Nyla Rose and Jamie Hayter versus Hikaru Shida and Thunder Rosa. Nyla Rose and Rosa start out, and this tag match between the four remaining competitors in the TBS tournament is basically just kind of that. It's just there's more than four, but these are four of the competitors left, and they're kind of just having a mini feud, pretty much. Shida and Rosa are working well together as they isolate Nyla in their corner and tag in and out. Nyla fights out, though, and Hayter comes in and turns the tide of the match. Hayter quickly beats on Shida, and then Nyla and her double team Shida, tagging quickly and keeping Shida from making a tag. After taking a huge beating, Shida finally starts to show some life as she fights to the tag, and Rosa comes in and clears house. Shida and Rosa dive to the outside on their opponents, and Shida gets distracted by Serena Deeb on the outside. So Nyla and Hayter take advantage of this, sending her into the ring, where Nyla goes for a beast bomb, but Shida rolls her up and actually gets the win. Hikaru Shida and Thunder Rosa defeat Nyla Rose and Jamie Hayter. For my Malteser scale, I gave it a 3.5 out of 5. It was actually a solid match, and considering we were pretty much putting the TBS tournament on hold until after Full Gear, I was okay with kind of these tag matches between the competitors that were there to just remind us that we're still doing this, and there's just a reason it's been put on hold. We then get Orange Cassidy talking about his tag match this week. I think it's against the Butcher and the Blade. He talks about he gets a partner of his choosing. He says he's not going to have one of the best friends there because they've been dealing with a lot lately. So he's going to choose a new member, or a member from his new group, Chaos. That's how he literally is just like, he's not sure what group he's in. And he says we'll find out later tonight who it is. We then get the main card for Full Gear, and it starts with a bang. It is Maxwell Jacob Friedman versus Darby Allin. It is, honestly, this match, you could have put it anywhere on any other card, and it would have been match of the night. It's unfortunate it's on this card. Well, I shouldn't say it's unfortunate on this card, because this card is fantastic. But this match could be match of the night on any card. Actually, pretty much every single match on this card could be match of the night on any card. But Darby and Max are two of AEW's top young talents, and they are 100% the future of not only AEW, but pro wrestling as a whole. MJF looks like he's going to hurt Darby tonight, and AEW starts their pay-per-view off with a bang. I feel badly for the rest of the card that has to follow this, as both men hold nothing back, as they put on one of the most amazing matches I've ever seen, and that is honestly the truth. I've seen some fantastic matches, and this is one of the better ones. You can hold it to literally anything WWE is doing, anything New Japan is doing, and anything Ring of Honor, Evolve, any of them. Whatever they're doing, you can put this match against them, and I doubt they'd be able to top it. They both know each other so well as they reverse each other and mirror each other with kip-ups. It doesn't take long for MJF to start getting cocky as he taunts the crowd, but it does backfire as Darby hits the dive to the outside, his like baseball slide dive type thing. MJF, though, doesn't let this last long as he moves from a coffin drop and continues to beat down Darby. MJF sets up on the top rope, and Darby stops him and hits a stunner off the middle rope. And MJF once again snuffs out Darby's momentum as he strikes down on Darby, and basically Darby's asking for more at this point. He goes for a code red, but it was turned into an Alabama slam by MJF. And these two just know what the other is planning before it has even happened. MJF just keeps he keeps tweaking his knee. He'll constantly hurt it, and I could not tell if it was a legit sell, like he hurt himself, or if he was actually just selling, making it look like he had hurt himself. Darby realizes this and targets the knee, and on the apron, MJF stops Darby from hitting a stunner and hits a pile driver instead. And then back in the ring, we have a pin off. They basically do the rolling pin in the middle of the ring. And Darby goes for a coffin drop after all of that. But MJF rolls out, so Darby hits the outside of the ring instead. It was on the apron. And both men are laid out as Sting is on the stage taking out the Pinnacle members that were coming out. I believe it was Wardlow and Shawn Spears. MJF uses this time to grab the skateboard that's on the side and tells Darby to use it. When Darby gives it to the ref, so the ref has to go to the corner to put it away, MJF pulls out the beautiful Dynamite Diamond ring and gets the win with a headlock takeover pin. The bastard. This match had storytelling layer after layer after layer all the way down to the pinfall. MJF defeats Darby Allin, and for my Malteser scale, I gave it a 5 out of 5. It was a perfect match, and it started the show. We then move on to the AEW World Tag Team Championship match. Oh yes, we aren't slowing down from there. It is the Lucha Brothers versus FTR, and this match has potential to be match of the night, as does every match on this card, as I've said. FTR is looking to become the first ever two-time AEW World Tag Team Champions, and the Lucha Brothers are looking to keep their titles and maybe prove they shouldn't have lost their AAA titles as well. It quickly spills to the outside, where FTR starts to control the match. Phoenix tags in, and the Lucha Brothers take control once again, double-teaming FTR in the corner, and then getting a near fall. FTR uses Tully to distract the ref so they can double team Penta and then tie his mask to the ring like they did. When was that? That was a while ago now. It was still a nice callback. Rick quickly undoes this, but FTR is in firm control for basically they got what they needed out of that. Phoenix comes in and takes on both men, hitting a flying double cutter. FTR, though, has a plan as they hit Phoenix with the AAA title. It gets a near fall this time. Tully distracts Penta again, and Dax goes for the Three Amigos, but Penta stops him and does it himself, with Phoenix then topping it with the cherry of the Frog Splash. And in case nobody knows, this arena is on the 16th anniversary of Eddie Guerrero's passing. This is the arena where the memorial show was held. So a lot of Eddie references happen through this show. FTR goes for the big rig, but Lucha Brothers fight out and hit the assisted Fear Factor pile driver for a near fall. FTR put on the Los Superanas mask, and it changes the legal man. It went from Dax to Cash, but the ref didn't notice this. The Lucha Brothers don't really care as they spike Wheeler for the win. The Lucha Brothers defeat FTR to retain the AEW World Tag Team Championships. For my Malteser scale, I gave this a 4.5 out of 5 because there is definitely going to be more to this. FTR is going to complain that the legal man didn't get pinned, and we're probably going to get a winner takes all match at the next special type Dynamite. I doubt it'll be Winter is Coming because that's what they did last time. It'll probably be something different this time. We shall see. We then get the finals for the AEW World Championship Eliminator Tournament match. Miro versus Bryan Danielson. While I'm a little disappointed we're not getting Jon Moxley versus Bryan Danielson, I'm completely fine with Danielson versus Miro. It is a great contrast in the styles, as Miro's a powerhouse looking to do as much damage as possible, but Bryan is a technical wrestler who can take a beating better than anyone I've ever seen. This is a slow build, as Bryan can't really get anything going, and Miro has few moves Danielson has the few moves Danielson has attempted, scouted, and has an answer for them all. They spill outside, and Miro continues to beat on Danielson, tossing him into the barricade, and in the ring, it just doesn't really matter what's going on. Like, Miro will just do whatever. He's just in firm control. Inside of the ring, outside of the ring, doesn't matter. Danielson could end up just getting beaten on literally with anything if it was a no DQ match, actually. Because I don't think Miro realized it wasn't. He was spending more time on the outside of the ring than inside. Danielson, though, finally shows life as he flies off the apron with a big knee. Danielson hits the big kicks in the ring, and Miro catches the final one. But Danielson turns it into a knee bar. But Miro fights out with just throwing Danielson. Basically just picked him up. And Miro locks in game over, but Danielson fights to the ropes, and Miro goes for it again, but Danielson rolls through and locks in the label lock, but Miro does fight out of that. And they exchange some shots in the middle of the ring until Miro sets up on the top rope. He carried Danielson over there for a superplex, but Danielson hits a DDT from the top rope, and it didn't look great. It definitely was a botch. But he locks in a sleeper for the win. Bryan Danielson defeats Miro to become the #1 contender for the AEW World Championship. For my Malteser scale, I gave this a 4.75 out of 5. It was a solid match. I loved it, and I'm really excited to see whoever Danielson is going to challenge. We then get the Trios Tag Team match, the Super Click versus the Jurassic Express and Christian Cage. This is obviously a Falls Count Anywhere match. This match starts fast with it quickly spilling to the outside, and then Cole and Jungle Boy go back and forth in the ring. Cole is sent out, and then quickly everyone comes in for a piece, and Jungle Boy tosses a chair into Cole's face. This match has only just started, and already you can't tell what's going on. Jungle Boy goes for a dive and eats a trash can, and then the Bucks get fed the same trash can too. Jurassic Express double team Cole and hit a face breaker on the chair. I didn't know really what else to call it. And Cole gets sent into the ring post and gets busted wide open. And then Cage and Jungle Boy go for a concerto but are stopped. Nick and Cage brawled into the back as Cole and Matt take control in the ring. Cole, though, gets sent through a table by the Hurricane Rana from Jungle Boy, and Matt responds with an elbow drop on Luchasaurus through the table. Cage and Nick are found, and they're brawling up kind of in the stand, like in the fans where you would go to get concessions and stuff like that. And Cage goes up a level and jumps off onto Nick, and I believe Brendan and Michael Nakazawa were also there. And he dives about 10 feet down to Nick Jackson for a near fall, and then they brawl back to the ringside. Cole tosses a bag in the ring, and the Bucks put some thumbtacks in Jungle Boy's mouth, and then super kick him, and that was a pretty nice visual. Christian has to fight off the Elite, and Luchasaurus comes in to help, and he clears house and gets a near fall, but Matt smashes him with a trash can and this basically makes Matt run, because Luchasaurus just sits up and comes after him. And on the stage, everyone is laid out as Matt hits a dive off the top rope, and Jungle Boy looks to climb up on the scaffolding, but Cole stops him, does it himself, and hits a Panama Sunrise. Cole then grabs some thumbtack and knee pads, and they hit a 3-way BTE trigger for a near fall that was broken up by Jungle Boy on Luchasaurus, who has to fight off all 3 of them. Cole goes for Luchasaurus once again, but he sits up and sends Cole off the stage and then hits a standing moonsault off of the stage, taking himself, Nick, and Cole out. Cage gets up for a concerto, but on Matt, but Jungle Boy says he'll do it. He strikes Matt, and they win. Jurassic Express and Christian Cage defeat the Super Click. For my Malteser scale, I gave it a 4.75 out of 5. It was a solid match. I really enjoyed it, and I loved how the finish was. And I love that the Elite is finally getting what they deserve. I mean, they've been running rampant as these jerk heels, and it's time they get it. The tag team match is next. We get Andrade El Idolo and Malachi Black versus Cody Rhodes and Pac. And Cody and Pac quickly show that this is not a team and more of a circumstantial situation. The enemy of my enemy is my friend sort of thing. As they quickly descend into arguments, tagging in one another without actually tagging in one another. Malachi Black and Andrade, though, are working well together as they are quickly able to tag in and out and start to control Cody. Cody gets distracted by Jose, so he quickly deals with him, hitting a dive to the outside. And then Malachi and Andrade work well together as they tag in and out, and they take control of Pac, who got tagged in after that dive. Outside of the ring, though, Arn and Jose are fighting, and they go all the way up to the stage, and they are done for the night. We don't see them. Andrade spills to the outside, and he hits a dive with that, and controls Pac, sending him back into the ring. Pac does start to show some life as he takes out Andrade and goes for a tag, but Cody isn't in the corner. He's down on the ground, looking hurt. So Andrade takes advantage and hits a DDT on the apron, and Pac and Malachi take each other out and makes the tag, and Andrade and Cody come in, and Cody takes control, hitting a reverse superplex off the top rope. Cody and Pac then double team Andrade and seem to start working together momentarily. Pac goes for a dive to the outside on Malachi, but Malachi moved and he hit Cody instead. Cody and Malachi fight outside as Pac and Andrade fight inside, and Pac hits the Black Arrow and he gets the win. Pac and Cody Rhodes defeat Andrade El Idolo and Malachi Black. For my Malteser scale, I gave this a 3.5 out of 5. It was a solid match. It's kind of no offense to the match, it was a great match. It was kind of a cool down match for what we had coming and what we had past, but it didn't take away from the match at all. After the match, though, Cash Wheeler comes to the ring and takes out Pac, and then they leave. That's basically the end of that. We then get the AEW Women's World Championship match. Britt Baker defending against Ty Conti. And Ty looks ready to fight tonight as she'll have to, as Britt brought all of her friends to the ring tonight. Ty tosses Britt around, but Britt fights back and they go back and forth. Britt takes control and she goes for the lockjaw really early, but Ty targets the injured hand of Britt and then hits the 3 pump kicks in the corner. She seems to be rolling as she hits a big kick followed by a suplex for a near fall. And Ty goes to the top but is quickly stopped, and Britt then hits a big stomp for a near fall. Rebel then gives Britt the glove for lockjaw, but Ty fights out. They brawl on the apron, and Britt hits the air raid crash on the apron. And then they go back in and exchange shots until Ty hits a Ty KO for a near fall. She then sets up for the DDT, but has to switch for a Gotch-style pile driver, and she gets a near fall out of that. Jamie sends Ty into the steps as Rebel distracts the ref, and Britt then hits the stomp on the steps and then sends her in the ring and hits another stomp. But Ty fights out and goes to the top rope and takes Britt's cronies and sends Britt into the ring. She hits DDT for a near fall. Britt then rolls up Ty after going for lockjaw, and she gets the win. The numbers just couldn't add up for Ty tonight. Britt Baker defeats Ty Conti to retain the AEW Women's World Championship. From my teaser scale, I gave it a 4 out of 5. It was a solid match. I really enjoyed it. I knew Britt was pretty well going to win just based off of her title reign hasn't been very long, but I'm not disappointed at all. I would have loved it if Ty did win, though. We then get a singles match, Eddie Kingston versus CM Punk. And before the match even starts, Eddie hits a big spinning back fist, and then the match does officially start, and they brawl to the outside. This isn't really a match, it's more of a fight, as these two are not locking up or doing standard wrestling moves. They're trying to hurt each other. Eddie stops Punk's kicks with a shot to the eyes, and they spill to the outside once again. Punk is quickly busted open as Kingston is in control. Punk, though, seems to be sparked by the blood and starts to take control and even hits the Cena running shoulder blocks and I don't know how else to call it, the body drop, and then sets up for the 5-knuckle shuffle, but Kingston stops him, and then Punk decides to hit the Three Amigos instead. Up on the top rope, though, Kingston hits a superplex, and they exchange some shots in the ring back and forth. Kingston mocks Punk, and Punk responds with the GTS, but can't get the cover. Kingston goes for the back fist again, but Punk ducks and knees Kingston and hits the GTS for the win. CM Punk defeats Eddie Kingston, and for my Malteser scale, I gave it a 4.25 out of 5. I really enjoyed it, and we kind of knew that Punk was probably going to win this. We knew that much. It was how much of a beating he was going to take, and I think Eddie definitely took him farther than anybody else has, and it was a great match. After the match, Punk goes to shake Eddie's hand, but Kingston slips out of the ring and leaves. We then get the 5-on-5 Minneapolis street fight. The Inner Circle versus American Top Team and the Men of the Year. The one thing I find odd about this match is that it starts as a tag match with all the men on the aprons tagging in and out, starting very slowly. Sky takes a beating to start out against Sammy. Sammy and the Inner Circle tag in and out quickly, keeping control of Sky. And Santana and Ortiz come in and double team Scorpio, with then Santana putting a suplex on him and tagging in Hager and passing him off to Hager. Hager then finishes the suplex. Sky then gets a tag to Arlovsky, and Andre quickly beats on Hager and then tags in Dos Santos, who hits a suplex on Jericho and then a standing moonsault, which was impressive. Dan Lambert comes in and tries to beat on Jericho thinking he's done, but quickly starts to get beaten down, and the American Top Team and Men of the Year come in to save, and from now on, the tags mean nothing. This match is basically how it should have been from the start. It's a brawl. Everybody's going at everybody. Jericho grabs a Prince sign from under the ring, and before he can take a swing, he's stopped, and Page sends Ortiz into the post with a chair around his neck. And the Men of the Year beat on Santana in the ring, and Santana and Ortiz then beat on Page with a trash can. And then they lock in a submission on Page, and then Sky comes in to try to stop them as well, so they lock in a submission on him. Arlovsky and the Men of the Year beat on Hager and Jericho. Beat on Hager, and Jericho comes in to make the save. Lambert then sweeps out Jericho from the inside of the ring, and Sammy takes out the Men of the Year inside the ring. There are brawls happening pretty well everywhere, as everyone is beating on everyone, and Dos Santos goes to the top rope, and he looks like he was going to go through the table on Sammy, but he's stopped by Proud and Powerful, and they hit a superplex inside the ring, while Sammy sets up a ladder outside and hits a senton on Sky, off of the top of what was probably a 20-foot ladder. Page hits Page gets in Hager's wife's face, and then the legend, Baron, I can't remember what his last name is, I apologize, takes out Paige, and inside the ring, Jericho and Dan Lambert brawl, but Jericho is stopped by Dos Santos. Lambert goes for the walls of Jericho, but Jericho fights out with a kendo stick and then hits a frog splash for the win, and he's looking up, saying, "I love you, Eddie," which was a very nice touch. The Inner Circle defeat the Men of the Year and American Top Team. For my little teaser scale, I gave it a 3.75 out of 5. It was a solid match. I really enjoyed it. And after the match, we get Orange Cassidy's partner announced, and it is Tomohiro Ishii. And I am super excited for that. That's going to be a fantastic tag match. We then get another announcement. Tony Schiavone has an announcement, and he says Jay Lethal is all elite, and he challenges Sammy to a TNT title match on Wednesday. Sammy comes out and he accepts. And finally, we have the AEW World Championship match. Kenny Omega defending against Hangman Adam Page. This is the one story AEW has been running since before AEW has even been a thing. Adam Page versus Kenny Omega. It's been the best story in AEW in pro wrestling. Kenny has constantly sold Hangman short and doesn't believe he can do it. Hangman looks to prove it tonight that he's not only has what it takes to beat Kenny, but he has what it takes to carry this company into the future. And this match is hard-hitting and goes a mile a minute. There's no wasted time as both men hit big shots and try to wear down each other. Kenny, of course, though, has Don Callis to help him as he chokes Page while the ref's checking on Kenny. Outside of the ring, Kenny continues the beatdown on Page, but Hangman stops him and sends it back in the ring. Kenny's slowing the match down here as he pokes his eyes out and goes for a more methodical pace. Kenny's beating down on Hangman wherever he can, sending him face first into the steps and then back in the ring. Hangman does show some life as Kenny goes for a moonsault, but Hangman gets his knees up and starts to roll against Kenny here. Hangman hits a dive to the outside and then follows it up with a moonsault to the outside. Up on the top rope, Kenny hits a springboard Liger bomb and then starts to set up for the V-trigger, hitting the Snapdragon suplexes. He hits the V-trigger, but Hangman stops the One-Winged Angel, and they continue to go back and forth. Hangman hits a blockbuster off the top rope, and then removes from the other corner. They have these cameras in the top corner. He removes it so he can get better balance and hits a dive to the outside through the timekeeper's table. And then back in the ring, they are continuing the back and forth brawl, and Hangman goes for the buckshot, but Kenny pulls the ref into the way, and then it's basically what we think's about to happen. Don goes to take out Hangman with the title, but Hangman stops him, and then hits the Deadeye on Kenny for a near fall as Kenny was going to try and take him out with the title after Don got taken out. Aubrey's sprinting down the ring to get the count, but she just didn't get there in time. Both men are on their last legs, and Hangman turns Kenny inside out with a huge lariat. The Young Bucks make their way to the ring, and Hangman goes for the buckshot, but is stopped and reverses and decides to hit a one-winged, he's stopped, and Kenny goes for the one-winged angel, but he slides out of it, and Hangman hits one himself for a near fall. Kenny's the first person to kick out of the one-winged angel. And then Hangman goes for the buckshot, and Nick's looking on, and he doesn't stop him. He just looks. Hangman hits the buckshot to the back of Kenny, goes to the other side where Matt's looking at him, and he just kind of nods at him. And Hangman goes and hits another buckshot lariat for the win. Hangman Adam Page defeats Kenny Omega to win the AEW World Championship. I am so happy. This story has been beautifully built, and I couldn't think of a better finish to it. Well, it might not even be the finish. Like, this could still continue on further, but this is definitely the end of one chapter. For my teaser scale, it was more than perfect. It was a 7 out of 5. I can't stress that enough. That match was amazing. I will constantly go back and watch that match. Hangman celebrates with the Dark Order as the new world champion, and the era of the Hangman has begun. My overall for this pay-per-view, Full Gear, was a 6 out of 5. It was beautifully booked from top to finish. There was no lulls in the card. Yeah, there were your cool-off matches, but they didn't even really slow down. It was insane. And because of that, the match of the night, I can't decide what it was. It's all of them. All of them get the match of the night because it would be a disservice to the card to say one match was better than the rest. Yes, they're scaled different on the Malteser scale, but that doesn't necessarily mean any one was better than the other. My segment of the night is Orange Cassidy's partner is announced as Tomohiro Ishii. I'm super excited for that, and I can't wait. I love the Forbidden Door. The Forbidden Door. My performers of the night, I'm specifically going to give to Kenny and Hangman because this story has been beautifully booked, beautifully worked, and it's just awesome. And I know they had the best match on that card, but that card was so perfectly booked that you could have put anything on that card and it would have been it was just amazing. It was an amazing show, and I just love AEW so much. It was so perfect. And that is all for this episode of Walking the Ropes Wrestling Review. It was a longer one than normal, but this was one hell of a pay-per-view. I thank you all for dropping in. If you enjoyed, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to get notifications whenever we upload a video. And I'll see you in the next one.